Blog Talk Radio.
Paranormal Review Radio.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. It's Friday night, and you're listening to Paranormal Review Radio with your hosts, Anthony in New York.
And me, Lucy Liebfried from Chicago. Hey, welcome to 2013, everyone. What a great show we have for you tonight. Our chat room is up and running, so feel free to ask us any questions. And if you lose sound on your player, just refresh your page or log back in. Remember, Blog Talk can be a little wacky sometimes. You can also send us an email at paranormalreviewradio@yahoo.com, and be sure you check us out on our Facebook show page.
All right, so what is astral projection? Well, Wikipedia states an interpretation of out-of-body experience that assumes the existence of an astral body separate from the physical body and capable of traveling outside it. Astral projection or travel denotes the astral body leaving the physical body to travel in the astral plane. Now, that's pretty much plain and simple. But do we truly leave our body? According to the 10-Step Astral Projection website, we don't actually leave our body. They state the experience of leaving our physical body is really just an interpretation or metaphor that was developed in order to explain the phenomena. When we astral project, we are experiencing pure consciousness and the larger consciousness system. We are not so much leaving our bodies. We do not have to go anywhere because we are already there. Our consciousness is already out of body. We are just letting our awareness flow into a different information set in the larger consciousness system. We are getting into our consciousness when we astral project. It's our cultural belief that in order to experience something like this, that we have to project, quote-unquote project, or do something to get there. All of the techniques that we use to get out are just tools. You know, for tonight's show, I just want to start off by saying this. For tonight's show, we actually originally had a scheduled guest, and he was an author of a book on how to astral project, and we wanted to ask him questions about what the experience is like, maybe teach us some techniques, and just inform us a little bit more about astral projection, because I think Lucy and I could speak for Lucy, this is very new to us, and we sort of want, whenever there's anything new within the paranormal field, we always like to get a guest on, because I hate to stand up here and preach or to regurgitate a lot of things that we find online. I'd like to sort of get an insightful interpretation of what they think that it may be and start a dialogue. But it seems as though after we booked the guest that we found out that this guest, who I'm not going to mention, sort of has some sort of controversy background with him and some of the folks that he has around him. And we felt that it was not right to have this guest on because we did not want to get into any kind of controversy or drama. You know, Lucy and I always talk about drama and how we hate it, we can't stand it, especially within the paranormal field. And to have this guest on, I think, probably would have stirred up more of an issue with, I guess, the reasons and the stuff that goes on behind the scenes with this said person, this guest, that we wouldn't get into the astral projection part of the show and the topic in itself that we wanted to convey tonight. So we decided that it was best that we did not have this guest on, and that Lucy and I would just pretty much go solo tonight and talk about what we've learned, and maybe hopefully get some callers in that can talk about their experiences and maybe teach us a few things about that. So if this is something that you actually want to talk about and want to get on the air with us and express and share your experiences, give us a call at 661-244-9831. Like I said, I know I've never done this method and would love to know firsthand what it's like to, and I'm assuming that you feel, you see, you smell, and you hear things while in the astral plane. So I'm really curious to know about this a little bit more. So, Luci, what are your thoughts on astral projection? Do you believe that we can leave our bodies, or not so much leave our bodies, but to visit the astral plane and also speak to the spirits or the spirit guides that are there?
Well, you know what? In doing all the research, I have to say at first, I really don't know that much about astral projection. I've never thought about it. I've always heard about it. Personally, I'm still not sure if we can actually leave our bodies. I mean, I saw the term out-of-body experience happen a lot, and I know it happens with near-death experiences, and in my mind, that's pretty much when it happened. Now, to take it and to be able to do it at will, it sounds amazing and it sounds wonderful. But as far as, do I believe it can happen? I don't know yet. I'm still learning about it. Now, as far as speaking with spirit guides, I truly believe you don't have to leave your body to do that. I think that our consciousness can do that. I think that a lot of us already do that, and I think a lot of us don't realize we can do that. So I'm still kind of on the fence, and I'm hoping that we can talk to somebody or, some of our listeners that might help convince me that this is something that can really happen. Anthony, what do you think about this topic? I mean, do you believe this, or is this just another meditated, hallucinated state of consciousness?
I don't know. Before I truly really got into the paranormal field and started to learn more and more about it, when I was younger, and I had told, I had told this story a couple of times while on the air that when I was younger growing up, UFOs and the culture and the ancient history of Egypt were the two topics that really fascinated me. And I think it was, learning more about that led me more into the paranormal field, and thus becoming a paranormal investigator and learning more about all of the paranormal phenomena that's out there. And honestly, I can tell you, if this topic and your question that you just asked me came up 10 years ago, I would probably say no. I would probably say this is probably some sort of lucid dream or some sort of real deep meditative state that your mind is in. I've heard a lot of stories and a lot of medical folks in the medical field that have said that, there's always that, that bright light and going towards that when people are at that near-death position or that near-death state. And it's always the same, and it's always that bright light and going towards it, feeling the love, feeling the warmth, seeing God, seeing Jesus, seeing, past loved ones that have passed on. And people have explained it, not so much scientists, but, people in general have explained it as though it is your brain at that moment not having enough oxygen, not having enough blood flow, and it's the interpretation that you yourself subconsciously are creating in that moment to cope with it. There's a lot of times that your mind does things in the moment of fear or in a moment of, in tragic moments, that your mind just does things that you just don't have control over, that are subconsciously have already been embedded in you. And it just comes out when fear is there so that you have some sort of coping mechanism. But, while we've been going through the paranormal field and being in it for several years now, I don't think I can pass up the idea of astral projection because of my belief in the spirit world, in the spirit universe, in the dimensions and all of that stuff that I can now say that I can firmly believe in because I have seen, I have heard, I have felt, a lot of these things that are of non-physical nature, that they are from the spirit world. And so if I can believe in that, then I think I should lead credence to the idea of astral projection. And the whole topic of astral projection sort of coincides, and it's just another term. And again, I don't know the differences of the terminology and everything, but what I've learned is that there is the difference in terminology, or there is this similarity, within out-of-body experiences, near-death experiences, and astral projection. It's almost one and the same. I've heard many, many people say that. The one thing that, though, bothers me, not so much bothers me, but intrigues me to learn more about, is the idea of the manipulation of it to try and create that sense, or create that feeling, or create that experience. I think I'd have to research that more, or try and discover more of that on my own, because that's hard for me to believe. When you talk about the spirit world and people that have passed on, it is nothing that you have control over. It is something that is the one thing that we just cannot control at all, is the passing over. And so to be able to control that and then to come back, it's hard for me to conceive that idea. I do believe in astral projection to some degree, but I think there's more that I have to learn about to truly, become an all-knowing of either, or create a decision of whether or not, it is a belief of mine or not. That's my idea.
Mhm. You know what? I agree with you. That because of the paranormal investigating and the belief in the spirit world, and believing that our consciousness, our souls, our being can move on, and they continue to exist once the body is gone. I think the hardest part of this whole mystery to me is just, like you said, being able to do it at will, being able to call it up and say, I'm going to leave my body. I think that's the part that I have a problem with. And again, only because I truly believe that as far as spirit guides, as far as communicating with a different plane, I think it can be done while you're conscious. So as far as the astral projection, I wish that it would be true, because I think it would be an awesome experience. But I don't know if personally I'm capable of doing it yet. Maybe it's something that I will learn. I don't know.
Well, as a paranormal investigator, and you and I as paranormal radio hosts, there's the one thing that I can speak for myself. I can't speak for you, but the one thing that I always try and find out is where's not so much the proof, but show me a good story. Show me an unbelievable experience, or explain to me something that I can't explain otherwise. Or is there anything that can be proven in the fact that astral projection can happen, as opposed to it being some sort of hallucinogenic or subconsciously created on your own dream state? To me, I guess it's just that investigative part of me that I have to try and find that. And that may be bad to say in a way, because it's probably something that I will never get the answer to. Obviously, I don't think I ever will. And maybe it's something that I have to experience on my own, because I've always said that too. I have to be able to, see a spirit, see a ghost, see a demon, see this, see that, whatever it is, in order for me to actually understand it and to believe it or not. So maybe it's the idea of I have to go through that. I have to actually astral project in order to come back and say, you know what, this is what it is. I feel it in me that was astral projection. It was nothing else. I can't explain it otherwise. I think I have to actually experience it myself. But Luci, I've got a sort of funny question for you. But what would you actually, if you actually did astral project to sort of another dimension, and you were able to speak to spirits, what would you do? What would you talk about, or what would you want to know?
I would want to know what it's like. I would want to know what this realm appears to them. I mean, we're curious about the other side. We're curious about the spirits that are out there. I'm sure they have the same, well, maybe they don't, but I would assume that maybe they do have the same curiosity as us. Maybe, are they from here? Where do they come from? Have they existed all along? Have they evolved with us? I think that's what I would want to know. I'd want to know what else is out there. What's it like? What does it feel like? What does it look like? What does it sound like? Those are the first things that I would want. All of you guys out there, do you have questions like that? I mean, call us, let us know. It's 661-244-9831. Anthony, what would you ask?
It's funny because I have the actual opposite of that. Maybe it's more selfish, but I'd want to know what's my meaning here. Why am I still here? What am I supposed to be doing in this physical body, on this earth? What is my mission? What am I supposed to do? Because I guess it could be that OCD in me that I have, that I always have to have things organized and planned out. And so if I know what I'm supposed to be doing, I think I would feel a lot better internally. And so that would be my first question, is to find out, what am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to be, or who am I supposed to help, if that is the case, or not help while I'm here in this physical body? Maybe that'll help me gain whatever it is to move on to where I'm supposed to go next, if that is the case. Maybe that's a little bit more selfish. I don't know.
No, but you know what? See, along those lines, I think that if I'm able to travel to that other plane, and I'm able to see what's there, and I can see what it's like for them, I think my purpose will become clear. I think in order to realize what your purpose is, you have to learn. And sometimes it isn't written like a roadmap or a textbook. I think it's all part of self-discovery. And for me to find out what my path is, I think I really have to learn. I have to experience.
Well, and you've tried this already before, correct?
Yes, I have.
What have you done to? What tools have you used to try and astral project?
Just my senses. I mean, if you read like the instructionals that they have, and you watch the videos, there's one in particular that we both looked at where it's based on, you stare at a candle and you stare at the light, and you just focus on the flame and the little bit of aura around there. Those are the things that I've been using, but unfortunately each time I've fallen asleep. Now, as I've done more research, I think it is the first part of actually trying to astral project, because it goes into the lucid dreaming. And I think part of what, now I will admit though, once I did fall asleep, that I've had some really, really amazing dreams. Now, whether or not I've gone anywhere, I can't honestly say that I feel like I have, but I would like to think that maybe I've opened the door a little bit just to move forward. I honestly don't think it's something that you're going to pick up a book or watch a video and be able to do it. I'm sure there are people that can, but for myself, I think it's going to be a gradual thing. I think I really have to ease into it. Because like I said, I think I can communicate with spirits now, but it would be very, very awesome to be actually on the same plane with them.
Well, I've learned that we all astral project every time we fall asleep. Whether we know it or not, whether we like it or not, the ideas and the facts that I've learned from people within the astral projection field, or the masters of astral projection, is that we do astral project every time we fall asleep. We don't know that we do it because we're not our minds are not trained, or our subconscious or conscious has not been trained enough to remember it and to be able to experience it at the moment. I've been told that we leave our bodies, we astral project every single night, we visit the astral planes, and we come back. It is up to our abilities to be able to keep the memory at the moment, as well as be able to retrieve it once you are back in your physical body, to then say you have astrally or astral projected. Again, I don't know if that's true or not. I know that everyone dreams every night anyway. Again, we all, most of the time, don't remember our dreams. It's only until there may be something that is, I guess, strikingly traumatic, or on the other side of the spectrum, something that is, gloriously enlightening, that we remember these things. Mostly, from what I've heard and what I've read, is that we only remember a lot of the traumatic, what you would call nightmares, because they make a bigger impression on us. Or sometimes we've woken up in the middle of it to get away from that dream, and therefore we're in that moment and remember it. Now, the question could be, is that astral projection, what you're dreaming, and the remembrance of a dream, is that astral projection, or is that just simply dreaming? Again, it's a question that I don't know the answer to that, and I think it's just a matter of learning about it a little bit more. I can give you this, for instance. Now, I know this. I can give you this, Lucy, forgive me for getting into this, but this is a dream that I had about a week and a half ago. I don't think I told you about this one.
No.
Okay. And I know this is not astral projection because there's no way that this could happen in astral projection. Now, Lucy knows this, but a lot of people who are listening right now don't, because I haven't said it. But for the past 4 weeks, I've had a pinched nerve. And so I have had very, very severe pain in my neck, shoulders, and my right arm. And I've gone to a few doctors, had a few shots. I've gone to physical therapy, and now I'm going through to chiropractor, who seems to be helping. But I've been in a lot of pain, and painkillers just aren't doing it. It's not a matter of it's not a matter of getting rid of the pain. And the Valiums and the Percocets and all that stuff, I hate to take those things. So I've been dealing with this day to day, going to work, coming home, doing things, whatever, with this pain, trying to subside it in certain ways. And so a week and a half ago, I had a dream. And it was at the height of a point when I had troubled this pinched nerve even more at work. And when I went to sleep, I dreamt that I was in a home, in a house somewhere. And every room that I walked into, there was somebody there. I did not know. I can remember their faces vividly, but I don't know these people. So it's not somebody that I brought into my dream that are my surroundings, family, friends, or anything like that. And every room that I walked into, when this person was in there and they saw me, they tried to kill me. They had every weapon available. Each one had a different type of tool or weapon, that whatever it was, to try and kill me. And there was one point, and this was at the end of the dream, when I walked into a room and there was a person there, and I can't really right now remember whether or not if it was a female or a male, and there was a mix in this dream. And I remember getting enough, I remember feeling the anger because I could not get away from any of this. And I remember taking something, and some sort of tool, and I stabbed this person in the shoulder. And it didn't click with me until later on when I was talking to somebody at work and I was telling them this dream, that I said, holy crap, I stabbed this person in the shoulder. That's exactly the spot where I've been feeling the pain. And it was, I guess, my subconscious telling me that I need to, or it's my body telling me I need to get rid of this pain. And or it could have been my anger towards this pain, and here's my way of getting back at it, was to, quote-unquote, stab somebody else in the shoulder with a tool, and it was in the exact same spot that I was feeling the pain, on the right side. So I can tell you that's a dream. I don't think, Lucy, would you consider that to be astral projecting? or could that be astral projecting?
I think it could be, but my first impression of it is the fact that your body and your subconscious is actually trying to rid yourself of the pain. This was your subconscious actually attacking it. The fact that every room that you went to, there was someone that was trying to harm you. That's the pain. That's the metaphor for the pain. But the fact that you attacked it and you stabbed it in the shoulder, that's where your pain was. You were subconsciously attacking that pain. You were trying to rid yourself of it. Now, whether or not it was actually, well, okay, here's the question. How did you feel when you woke up?
I wasn't frightened so much, but it was more, you know the feeling that you get after you watch a horror movie? You know, not so much being frightened and looking over your shoulder as, to see Jason or Freddy or somebody's coming after you. It's more along the lines of you just seen something so traumatic that you have to, and I don't know the best way to equate it to, but it's sort of like I have to come back down to reality because it was just too much out there, that experience of whatever it was. Now, I have learned, and I believe you have learned too, before doing this show about astral projecting, that we can experience bad things. We can experience traumatic experiences or even demons or low-dimensional beings when we astral project. And it is up to us whether or not to let them in. And it's just like when you are investigating a haunted location. You yourself have to invite that demon in or that bad spirit in order for it to attach to you or to wreak havoc on you. You internally have to be open in order for that demon, that entity, that element, whatever it is, to come into you or to come into your world. And so I think I've learned, from what I've learned, is the same thing applies when you astral project. You still will come in contact with demonic beings or bad spirits or things of that nature, mostly on the lower dimension from what I've learned. And again, I'm still learning all of this, that there are several different dimensions when you astral project, and you travel, that you have to quickly pass the lower dimension in order to get to a better place. It's sort of like, speeding through a bad neighborhood to get to where you need to go. So that's one of the things that I actually wanted to talk about tonight that people don't know. When you talk about astral projecting, see, I thought, Lucy, you were going to mess it up, and here I am messing up that word. When you astral project, we all learn about the benefits that it gives us, and all of the grand feelings and having contact and communication with spirit guides and learning more about life and yourself and the universe and all that stuff. But what I wanted to talk about was some of the dangers when you do astral project. And Lucy, did you want to start off by talking a little bit about it?
Well, okay, one of the first things that I read about, and one of the first questions that came to me when we first started researching was, let's say that you're astral projecting, your consciousness is away from your body. What happens if your body were to die while you were outside of the body? Now, in reading, there is what they talk about, a silver cord that connects your astral body to the physical one. And one of the other fears that and you know what, the more I'm talking about it, the more it's falling into place. I think probably why I don't think I can do it is because I still have that fear. It is something completely unknown. So
that's what I said before. That's the one thing that a lot of the and again, I don't know the terminology that you would call the folks who really know astral projecting. And for a lack of a better phrase or a lack of a better title, I'm just going to say a master AP, master astral projector, if that is a term. Again, I'm making this up as I go.
An experience.
If what was your? I'm sorry. Now I just lost my train of thought. What were you just talking about, Lucy?
I was just going to say an experienced person, an experienced astral projector.
No, but what was your point about, what were you
The
just
fear?
talking about, though? Yeah.
We were talking about the fear.
Right, and so
Wow.
that was one. Right, that was one of the things that I kept reading over and over and hearing over and over again. Is you have to let go of that fear in order to truly astral project and to truly travel on the astral plane. You have to let go of that fear. It's human to have the fear of the unknown, and you just mentioned that. It is natural that a human being, a physical human being, has fear. With anything, not just, even not just paranormal. It's just fear in itself of the unknown, of not knowing what is to come or what is expected or what is right around the corner or what is going to happen the next day or, what's going to happen in the meeting that I'll be in tomorrow. It's that fear that we all feel on every different type of level that we have to crush. We have to get rid of. And that's what I was saying before in chat with Paul, is that, no matter how many books and how many audio recordings and guided tours and all these tools, as they call it, no matter how many things you get, you have to work within yourself in order to experience it, if, in fact, astral projecting is true. So you have to get rid of that fear. And that's the one main thing that's going to keep you from doing this. And if you're able to get rid of that fear, keeping your openness, keeping your mind and body open while trying to do the astral projecting and removing that fear, I think you'll be able to hit it. And that's a problem for me. I can't get rid of that fear, and I think that's why I haven't been able to do it.
See, and part of that fear is not just leaving the body. I think the fear is also, like you mentioned, the negative entities, the lower level demons, whatever you want to call them. What if you come across these things? How protected are you? If you're out of body and your consciousness is there without a physical body to at least be your armor, part of me is thinking, okay, I'm out there, I'm completely open. What is there to protect me from what is out there?
Well, and again, when you, this is what I've learned, that when you do astral project, you are conscious. So it is though it's the same as though you are right now listening to us on the computer. It is the same as you and I talking to each other right now, sitting at our at our desks or whatever, doing what we're doing. It's the same way in astral projecting. There's no difference. You are still conscious. You are still aware of your surroundings. And so what I've learned is that if you do come in contact, and it is true that you can come in contact with demonic beings when you astral project, because you are going into another dimension. And as you know, demonic entities or bad spirits, whatever you want to call them, live within the lower dimension, and that's how that they're able to get within our universe, our world. You have to go pass through that to get to the higher dimensions in order to get to the spirit guides and the better spirits. And so they can be waiting for you as you enter and as you exit. You have to be able to be aware of it, number one. I've learned that, or I've heard that you can picture in your mind white light around yourself as you are passing these demons. You can, and they will question you. They will ask you, would you like to stay? And they could tempt you, just as the demons and the devils and all of that stuff tempt you here in the physical world. They will tempt you there as well. And you just basically have to ignore it or try to just, negate it, say no, and leave, and either come back to your body or continue on to that other dimension, whichever direction you're going into. It's that inquisitive nature that a lot of people have, that the fear could possibly still creep up while you're there and act with or communicate with these demons that could get you possibly in trouble. Now, I don't know, have you read anything about possession, demonic possession of your body while in the astral plane?
No, I haven't. But you know what? As you're talking, the thing that pops into my head is trying to keep a sense of yourself, not losing yourself while you're out of body. I heard someone speak the other night about astral projection, and one of the things that they brought up was the fact that you leave your body, let's say you go to the other plane, and you see that you make it to the other side, and it's beautiful and it's wonderful, and you don't want to come back, which is something that I've read a lot about the near-death experiences. The people that have experienced this, they always say that, oh, it was wonderful, it was warm, the light was beautiful, I did not want to come back. But yet something or someone on the other side would kind of like say, hey, wait a minute, it's not your time, you must go back. And then when they came back, it was almost like the reaction that they had once they came back into their body was almost like a literal crash landing. So I don't know. I mean, I think the most important thing is keeping a sense of yourself. If there is something demonic, if there's something evil out there, if you can maintain that sense of self, I think that protects you from having something enter you. Now, one thing that just popped in my head too, it's like, okay, let's say that you do your astral projection, you're out of body. Let's say your body is here still. What is to prevent a demon or some negative entity from entering your body while you're away? What happens then?
Well, I've learned that it can't, and that's why I had posed the question to you. The demonic, there cannot be a demonic possession in your physical. First of all, nothing can happen to you while you are in the astral plane because you are not a physical matter. You are a spiritual nature, so nothing physical can happen to you while you are in the astral plane, your astral body. There's nothing that can affect your astral body. Now, while you are traveling, while you are projecting in the astral plane, your physical body is still in that safe place of wherever you left it, you know, your bedroom, your living room, wherever you were before you traveled. Now, something can happen to your physical body, you know, somebody can walk in and shoot you, somebody can kill you, so, you know, anything can happen to your physical body. Now, if that happens, your body can die. Your body will die. You will continue on because apparently what happens is our bodies or our spirits astral project. It's, again, the other term for out-of-body experience. Once you die, your spirit leaves your body and moves on to the different dimensions to wherever it is supposed to go. And so you will basically just continue and move on and not go back if your body does die. Now, demonic possession can happen, but again, it can only happen if you allow it, if you invite it and welcome it in. The same thing goes for when you are in, you know, and I'm sure that there are a lot of paranormal investigators out there, and I see Helmi's out there in chat. Hey, Helmi, how are you? You know, as a paranormal investigator, you cannot be possessed, and I believe this, you cannot be possessed by a demon or anything of that nature unless you welcome it in, unless you invite it in. And there are several ways that you can invite them in, knowingly and not knowing. It's all a matter of the frame of mind that you're in, how you present yourself, your life, how you treat your body, how you treat yourself. You know, if you are in a depressive state, that could also open up a window and allow them to come in. And so it can happen, but you have to be able to welcome them in. And from what I've learned with astral projecting is that you physically will know when that happens, and you then can project this white light around you. You can seek God. You can seek faith and religion within that moment to help and guide you to give you that protection from that so that you can continue on to the other dimensions like I was saying before or come back into your body.
Mm-hmm.
Did I explain that right?
Yes. It does make sense. But I think it's just a matter of the fear. So basically what I'm getting from it is the main thing that can harm you is your own fear.
Right. And that it all goes back down to that. And what I was saying before is what I've learned is that you have to get rid of that fear. And one other danger that people, or one other fear that people have before doing astral projecting is the fear of not being able to come back to your body. You know, you do all these things and you get into that either lucid dreaming state or whatever state that it is that you then can astral project, is the fear of not coming back. What happens if I don't come back? What happens if I stay there? You know, what happens if I don't know where to go? What I've learned, and from what all of again, the master APs have said, or the experiencers have said, is that all you have to do is think of your body, and you're right back. It mentally, consciously, you will know. It's not a matter of finding the way; it's a matter of thinking the way. That's what happens in astral planes. Is physically, nothing needs to happen. And I think that's why they were talking about, you know, you're actually not leaving your body. There's nothing physical about it. It's all a matter of within your conscious mind. And so you can create the world or the plane that you're in, create the communication telepathically, I believe, within your mind, and you can then say to yourself, okay, I want to go back to my body. Boom, you're there. Now, that's what I've learned. That's what I've heard. Again, I have not experienced this, so I don't know truly if that is the case. But that's what I've learned, and that's what one of the fears are that people have. And I think if people read a little bit more about that and understand that a little bit, they can try and astral project and try and get that experience and still know that they can come back.
So basically, it is not actually leaving your body, but it's expanding your awareness beyond your body.
We're already in the astral plane, whether we know it or not, because apparently within this phenomena, our spirit is already within the astral plane. It's just a matter of us
becoming aware.
Exactly. Becoming aware that it is there and having that click happen. That's basically what it is.
Well, I'm looking at the chat room, and we have a couple people that are saying that they have some experiences that they want to share. And it looks like some of these, what I'm seeing, a lot of times it's spontaneous. It's not anything that they have actually like tried to orchestrate or tried to plan or tried to do, that it's happening spontaneously to them.
Yeah, I've heard those stories also too, that it does happen spontaneous. There's no effort needed, and what I can equate it to is that those persons already have the knowledge within themselves to be able to do it, and probably have some sort of, I'm assuming, psychic, maybe even sensitive, empathic, whatever it may be, abilities within them, that it leads themselves more easily able to or ready to astral project. I've heard stories where people are even at work and all of a sudden, boom, they astral project. Now, I've heard other stories that they have continued doing whatever they are doing on the physical world. Either it's, watching TV or working or running or walking, whatever it is, and astral project at the same time. That I don't know too much about. That I've heard stories on, and I don't know, again, how that's possible. But, again, those are the stories that are out there about it.
I think what I want to know is, how is that different from daydreaming? Or is daydreaming astral projection?
Well, that's the thing. Again, the stories that I've heard are both. Either you're continuing to do what you're doing here, physically doing things and astral projecting at the same time, and still knowing that that's happening. And then others have been where you've gone into some sort of lucid dream state, and your body has, your eyes are closed, and you're at a relaxed state, and you then astral project. So daydreaming, I don't know. Again, that's the difficulty for me in understanding this, is what is the difference between dreaming and astral projecting, or is it one and the same? Well,
I do know that, I'm sure everyone has had the dreams where, you wake up and you want to go back. You want to go back into that dream. And I know a couple times where I've become aware that I've wakened up, but I almost can push myself back into that dream. So maybe that is a form of astral projection.
One of the articles that I was reading from Richard Alan Miller, who has been around for a long time and who is, again, I don't know what the word is it expert, is it master, or whatever, about the phenomena of astral projection. And he had put out some characteristics, let me see if I can find it, of how to differentiate the two between a dream and an out-of-body experience. And he gives 5 different criteria. One is there's a continuity of some sort of conscious awareness. So what he's saying is basically you're aware of what's going on while it is happening. 2, intellectual or emotional decisions are made during the experience. So if you're quote-unquote think you're dreaming and you're making decisions, feeling the decisions, or understanding what you're saying and what the communication is going on, that to him is an astral projection. You are traveling. The third one is multi-valued perceptions occur via sensory inputs or their equivalents. So if you're, smelling, touching, hearing, seeing things, that is astral projection. The fourth one is there is a non-recurrence of identical patterns. So if you, usually with dreams, and if you have repetitive dreams, let's just say, and one of the big things is either running away from something or flying. Those are the two biggest dreams that a lot of people talk about. If you continually have that type of same dream, that is not astral projecting. But if you are, and this is the 5th point, if you are experiencing something, again, I'm going to go back to my dream that I had, and I was in a house, and I went into every room. Now, if I remembered the surroundings itself, if I remembered like the paint color on the room, or if there was carpet in this one and wood floor in this one, or if this one had 2 windows or 1 window, or whatever it was, and I continually have these things in that same house, but the experiences are different. So say if I went back to that house in my dream, and I wasn't, afraid of people who were trying to hurt me, but now it was something that, I would walk into a room and people were eating dinner and they invited me in and we sat down and we were talking, and then I had another one of the same thing in that same house or whatever, that could be considered astral projecting because you are traveling to a safe place or to a place continually, but the actions or activities, that are surrounding it are different every time. That's what he's saying is what could be astral projecting. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Because one thing I can say is that in my dreams, a lot of times I don't really remember the actual surroundings, or sometimes the surroundings aren't clear. But I do remember the actions, and they don't always seem, I rarely have the same kind of dream. It's very rare that I've had the same dream happen twice.
Same action? Is it the same action? But
no.
You've been in the same place?
Pretty much, or similar places. Nothing has ever been exactly.
So this guy, Richard Alan Miller, would suggest that you are astral projecting because you are continually going to a certain location, but the activities are different. You're interacting differently.
Mm-hmm.
I can relate to that because I've had that happen to me many times, and it's just it was very odd that I would always remember them, and they were just nonsense dreams, but it was in the same place, but I was doing things differently all the time.
Mhm.
Luci, there was one thing that I wanted to bring up, and I mentioned this to you right before we got on the air. This is really, really interesting, and I'm going to actually do some more research on this. And it was about a doctor in the early 1900s who he made it his mission or his doctrine to weigh dead people. What he did was he weighed people who were tragically ill, who were dying of different diseases, whatever they were. He specifically only took those folks because he did not want anyone who was shot to have any extra physical matter in them, so, not with a bullet inside them. And he picked these people who were tragically ill, who were dying, and he weighed them. And he weighed them right before they died, and then weighed them right at the point of when they died. I don't know how he did it. I don't know, who agreed to that, and what patients he got and how he got these patients. But he did several of these. He did, I think, about 6 or 7 people. He also did it on dogs as well. And that was a little bit of a controversy that I read, that, how did he get these dogs? And obviously he could have done it unwillingly and all that other stuff, which is tragic, and I don't want to talk about it. But this doctor, Dr. Duncan McDougall, if anybody wants to learn anything about this, I would suggest everybody Google this guy, Dr. Duncan, D-U-N-K-A-N, McDougall, M-C-D-O-U-G-A-L-L. And he did a study on this, and this was his life's mission, to find out if your dead physical body weighed less when you died, at the point of when you died. And the 7 patients that he did this on, all of them weighed, I think it was 20 or 21 grams less at the point of death when he weighed them. And he was trying to make the point that when you die, your spirit leaves. And so if your spirit is leaving, and again, I don't know how he's equating this to physical, scientific, terminology, that your spirit weighs something. And he was published in a medical journal back in the early 1900s. He was sort of, people within the field, the medical field, had called him a quack, but these were his results. And each and every single one of them were, I think, between 20 and 21 grams less. And he has the proof, he has the reports and the analysis of it. And he said that because your spirit left, your body weighed less. He also did. You read that? I read a little bit of it, and it was fascinating. But what he also said was a little bit disturbing. He also did a report on dogs, as I mentioned before, and he said he did the same thing with dogs, and they weighed the same. And so he came to the conclusion that dogs did not have souls or did not have spirits, which I don't believe.
I don't believe that either.
Right. So I don't know how true it is, but it's just fascinating to understand the idea, or to read the idea that your body is weighing less when you die. And so could that be true, first of all? I mean, this could be another topic for another show, but he sort of is proving the fact that something is leaving you of weight when you pass over, and could lead credence to the fact that we do have something within us that is no longer there when we pass over, when our physical bodies pass over. I don't know why I got into that and why I was reading it, and how I guess it sort of, when I was doing the research on astral projecting, it sort of led me into that direction. But I guess the two are the same. I guess it goes along the same lines as, or credence and proof to the fact that we do have souls. We do have these astral bodies within us that leave, and this could lead to I guess proof. And I think ever since this doctor had done this, nobody has done it. Nobody's been able to reproduce, or nobody has tried to reproduce any of this. And so I don't know if there is any scientific reports or analysis out there since Dr. McDougall has done this to say yay or nay to the fact. I just thought it was interesting. I thought it was a really interesting topic to talk about and bring up in this astral projecting topic.
Well, I've read that, and I've read that way before we ever started this. And I think what I got from it was basically that what they were trying to prove is that the soul has weight, that our souls actually have a weight, that it's proof that the soul leaves. Now, if you believe that, let me finish. If you believe that the soul is leaving the body and it does have some type of weight, that it exists, that it actually is there, then that leads on to the whole topic of spirits. Yes, there are spirits. Spirits do exist. And what are spirits? Spirits are basically, taking this from the study, spirits are basically souls that are out there, that they do exist, that we do exist once the physical body is gone.
But from what we know of the spiritual world, spirits are not physical.
No, they're not.
Spirits are spiritual. They're not of this physical realm, of this physical planet, of this 3D dimension, of this 4D dimension. They're not of here, and so to me it doesn't make sense. His whole doctrine or his whole thesis about possibility of spirits weighing 21 grams or 20 grams doesn't seem logical to me, because you cannot, what's the word? You can't measure a spirit. There's no way to physically do that here.
You can't measure a spirit, but a spirit, there are spirits that can physically move things. How can a spirit physically manifest and be able to turn a flashlight on, or to knock something off, or go back to Rolling Hills when the doll was thrown at you? How could a spirit, if a spirit is not material, how could that doll have been thrown at you?
Energy.
How can energy? Doesn't energy have some kind of weight? Doesn't energy?
Energy has that. To me, I'm not a physicist, or definitely not a scientist. None of that, and I could be way off base. But to me, it's more of force. It's more of power than being able to weigh it. And I think when we talk about the spiritual world, I think even that in itself is completely different than what we think of as energy. When we say energy, yes, it's calculated within physics and whatever, but the energy that a spirit has, I think, is completely different than what we're thinking of, or what we've been taught to learn.
Mm-hmm. So but then again, that's our perception. We don't have proof of what exactly a spirit is. We know that they're there. We know that they exist. We know that they can manifest enough energy to move things. How is it that a door can close on its own? How is it that a spirit can literally touch us? The feeling that you have when a spirit touches you. I have felt that touch, and it physically felt like there was actual pressure, that there actually was. Now, in order to get that feeling, there has to be some kind of force behind it, and that force is energy. So does that energy not have a weight? In order to feel the pressure, in order to feel the movement, it would have to have something. And if it didn't have anything, you wouldn't feel it. That's what's coming into my head. That's my perception of it. Now, whether or not it's right, it probably isn't.
Right. Well, we have a couple of minutes, and did you want to take one phone call?
Yeah.
Okay, we've got area code 989. Hello, you are on the air with Anthony and Luci.
Hi, Anthony and Luci. It is Noah. I am so glad to be here tonight.
Hey,
Hi,
Noah. How are you?
Great topic, you guys. I haven't been here in a long time, and I'm so sorry I haven't been able to.
Yeah, we missed you.
Well, I've missed you guys, and I have kind of a cool story, and I'll try to keep it brief.
Okay.
With astral projection, real quick, a precursor. About 10 years ago, I started to experiment with it, with the silver cord, and there were some exercises of, imagining a ball going out and then going after it during your wake. And I'm telling you, the fear for me was unbelievable. It really, I don't like that feeling of being detached from my body. But I think that even if we don't try to have an out-of-body, I think that spirit, and when I say spirit, I mean God, whatever name you want to give it, him, her, I think can trigger it in ways that at appropriate times. And for me, Anthony, you were talking about a familiar place that you go to being one of the criteria of, this definitely is an out-of-body. And for me, I've had probably 3 dreams, and all of them, they were in the same location. And the reason I knew that they were the same location is because of the lighting. I know that's an odd detail, but the lighting was really, it was almost like sunset, and I've had no other dreams like those. To be specific, there was a time when, I had left the religion I was born into, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to try Catholicism. Maybe that'll work. And I had a dream of going to Lourdes, and for people that may not know, that's where people get healed, and I was following someone in a wheelchair, and we were walking through this path down the woods. And when we got to the end of the path, there was nothing but a souvenir shop with broken aquariums and rosaries that had been pulled apart, and it was a complete disappointment. And I thought, well, what does this mean? But then on our way back, I experienced, I knew she was a Hindu woman, and she was giving me the namaskar or the namaste bow. She was wearing a red sari, very specific, and all I could feel from her was love, compassion, every good thing from her. It was a very warm feeling. And nobody else could see her in the line of disappointed people that were ill but me. And she was really young, almost childlike, and all of a sudden I noticed she had 4 arms, and I thought, well, that's typical for a Hindu goddess. But then I noticed she had 2 heads. And then one thing led to another, and I actually did a search for, Hindu conjoined twins, because I thought this was really odd. And to my delight, horror, and satisfaction, I just posted the link to it. There were conjoined twins named Radhika and Dudika, and basically they are my spirit guide. And through this dream, I learned that they're the ones that they lived. They were separated. One of them died. One survived for a short time, and then she died too. But they were turned into circus people, which was very degrading, but their family needed the money. And so what I learned through that experience was I didn't try so hard to try to get out of my body, but I knew I was on a different plane. And to this day, if I invoke Radhika and Dudika, I feel like they're really, really with me. And like I said, when I saw their picture for the first time, my jaw dropped. And I can't share this story with people enough because it tells me that, number one, we do have spirit guides. Number 2, we do project to somewhere when we're sleeping. I think some dreams are just kind of a dump or a defrag of our hard drive. But when I have the dream where it's in that sunset lighting, and it's very jungly and very, it has a certain look, I know that I'm in that place. And I'd kind of like to try to induce that a bit more rather than have it happen spontaneously.
Well, it seems to me, it seems to me, though, just from that story you just said, that if you are seeking an answer for something, and a lot of people, and again, I go back to this, a lot of things that I've read and researched and found on this phenomena is that many people try to astral project to try and find answers for themselves. most of it is, what is the meaning of life, or why are you here, why are we here, and to get guidance and support and answers to what they should be doing. I don't know if it's so much specific or not, but it's mostly about just getting answers. And it seems to me that your story is what could have maybe spontaneously created that astral projection in you while you were in that dream state to find your answer, and you were able to do it that way. That's my simple layman's term sort of interpretation of that experience, and I believe it.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
Can
yeah.
I give my interpretation?
Please, Lucy.
You mentioned that you had left the religion that you were brought up in, and the fact that you had been following and you had gone to Lourdes, which is a very, very well-known and probably notable site within a religion. And the fact that you went down this path, you followed another person, another pilgrim, and you got to the end of the path. And at the end of the path, there's this tourist shop, and everything's in disarray. That is your disappointment in the religion. But yet when you turn around, you come across your spirit guides, and your spirit guides are there to show you the love and to show you that there is something, that even though you've got the disappointment and the disillusionment in what you had previously believed, they were there to show you that, yes, there is something to believe in, and there is love, and there is beauty. And that's what I get from that.
Absolutely. And, I've only dreamt of them one other time, but it was real enough to me where, it made me believe. And, again, some people may think I'm a kook, but to me,
Wow.
it was real as real could be. And when I found their picture online, it's such a fluke. I don't even know really how it happened, but it really confirmed that, okay, and they weren't saying to me, you got to be you have to be Hindu now. They were saying to me, spirit is much more expansive, to use your word, Lucy, much more expansive, and there's a lot more out there. And it really it drove a point home to me that, like you said, I was disappointed, but immediately when I turned around, there was something much better waiting for me. And so if that's astral projection, then I'd be willing to try to experience it more, knowing that I do have spirit guides. And what you talk about, Anthony, the demonic and other things like that, that's a concern for me too. But I think that if we're aware that we're protected, then hopefully, and this is coming from somebody who is a fraidy old lady, that we'll be protected and not have to worry so much.
And I think it goes back to the fact that spirit guide. They're there to guide you. They're there to show you what you need to learn. I truly believe in spirit guides. And this whole idea of astral projection, to me, bottom line, is a beautiful thing. And if it allows us to go to that plane and to be, I know that we've said that we're all in this astral plane already, but to have the awareness to be on that plane and to be able to absorb and learn from what is there, I think in turn that gives us our sense of purpose. I think it'll give us our sense of what our path truly is. And I think it's beautiful that you came across your spirit guides, and I really truly think that they were there to show you that there is more, that even though one avenue is disappointing, it doesn't mean that there's not another avenue. I think it's absolutely beautiful.
But see, you know what? Here's my question, and I'm sort of, I always teeter on both sides of the fence. It's in my nature to sort of be that debater for both sides. I've of course. There are so many stories out there, though, that people say that spirits come and visit them in their dreams. Could this be that act? could it be that you had your spirit guide or spirits come to you, not astrally travel, but they came to you instead?
That's a good question, Anthony. And I thought that, but hearing you talk, I thought back to those handful of less than 5 dreams with that very particular light. Kind of leads me to believe that it was a very specific place, because some other dreams that I've had of that same place were very nourishing too spiritually, and that's what's convinced me. Not that I want to be able to say, hey, I've left my body, because to me that sounds creepy and otherworldly, but
right.
I can't think of a better approximation or explanation of what truly happened when I met those spirit guides. It really did change my life.
Mm-hmm.
And that's great, and I think everyone should have that experience at least, or you know what, I'm going to rephrase that, because again, from what I've learned is we all experience it. It's just a matter of retaining that memory or connecting with your astral body to have that experience, to be able to talk about it afterwards. But I'm still in that debate mode of whether or not we're actually astrally projecting to another plane, or is it that they are coming and visiting us, as well as it just being a dream in itself, consciously, that your mind is creating. Because I've heard a lot of stories that, again, going back to the spirit visiting you, that when they come, and it could be your loved one, it could be a spirit guide, or a loved one that has passed on, or a spirit guide, or anyone, that they are creating the environment that, I'm trying to explain this. As they are coming to you, they are creating the environment and the surrounding around you to make you more comfortable to accept it, to accept them coming to you for the visit and the communication. So they're going to create whatever you're comfortable with around you. And if an environment, say, of field grass and trees and blue skies is what comforts you, they probably will create that while they're coming to you so that you feel more at ease. Could it be that? I'm just throwing things out there, and I may be, again, on my soapbox talking about things that I have no idea about. But it's just things that I throw out there just to think, could it be or could it not be? And my job is now to research all of those different avenues to try and figure out what I can believe in or what I know could be true for myself for me to understand this whole thing.
Okay, let's take what you just said. Let's take what you just said. That it is, could it be the spirits coming to you and trying to make it comfortable for you? If we were not on a different plane, we would be able to see them as we were awake and conscious. Maybe we need to travel to that different plane in order to see and to communicate with them. Now, I know people say, that there are mediums, they can communicate, but the average person cannot do that. Even though we all have this ability, not all of us are aware or enlightened enough to do it. So let's say that if it is a spirit that came to you, wouldn't it be more calming and wouldn't it be more accepting if they appear to you in a form that's comfortable to you? But yet, if you're conscious, if you're awake, you're not going to see them. So as you're dreaming, you go to this other state. Could that be a possibility?
What were you going to say, Noah?
I agree, Lucy. I agree. And Anthony, I like that you ask those questions because I think that keeps a balance. Otherwise, we could all go off into goofy land and just believe anything because I've had goofy dreams. If I told you last night's dreams, you guys would be like, you're a pervert and creepy and weird or whatever. But
we like that. You could private message us that later.
Maybe I will.
Okay.
But seriously, I think it's good that we ask that, because you don't want to take it at face value. I mean, because there's always, an alternative. Maybe you had a high fever. Maybe you ate something bad. Maybe your subconscious mind desires something so bad that it manifested it just to comfort your psyche. So I think we have to ask that. So I think that's where the experiential comes in. When we experience it, then we can know rather than believe or hypothesize. Because, Anthony, your dream about the house, it really resonates with a lot of dream theory that Jung and that Freud did. They say whenever you dream of a house, you're dreaming of your own evolution. And the higher up in the house you are, the higher up you are in your own evolution, whatever floor you're on. But that doesn't make that the ultimate truth, but that's one of their theories.
Theories, right.
So I think that it's good that we ask those things. Otherwise, we'll be convinced of anything. And I'll close on this. One time, about 10 years ago, I had a really high fever, like 105, and I was watching a documentary about the first 7 astronauts in the Mercury program, and Gus Grissom, he had died, not during that first project, but during the Apollo project. He burned to death. My fever was so high that I believed that I was him reincarnated, and I went on QVC and I ordered this orange cleaning stuff.
Oh gosh!
And so I had a high fever experience where I'm buying things that are crap, believing things that are bullshit, and so there was a difference there. So I think it's good that we question that stuff. Otherwise, I could walk around today telling people, "Hey, I was an astronaut." So I think it's great that you guys ask those questions.
You know the difference, though, Noah. That's the thing. You know, in your own mind, you have come to the conclusion that yes, that dream was a result of your fever. As opposed
no, but I think what Noah is saying though is and Noah is of the small percentage that can figure that out. There are many people who may not know truly all about it, and us asking all these questions and getting that information out there, or just collectively trying to have this communication and this dialogue and the banter back and forth could help sort of create the, for lack of a better word, the intelligence that someone can get upon the topic to be able to decipher things instead of just saying, okay, I've had this dream, and I've had that thing, and that was an out-of-body experience, that was an astral projection, and just quickly labeling it as that. You can correct me if I'm wrong, Noah, but I think that's what you were sort of getting at.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I'm not saying I'm smarter than anyone else, but, I could tell the difference between a fever and this was something that, I wasn't changed by that dream or that thought of being an astronaut and having this great orange cleaner for my whole house of every form. Where when I had the dream of Radica and Dudica, I found evidence, which to me was as significant as someone having a past life experience and finding validation of that.
Before you go, I just have a question. Had you read upon or researched anything on Hinduism that you could have subconsciously had that information in the back of your mind, and it was brought out in this dream?
That's a great question. Never. I thought Hinduism was the devil. I thought it was evil. And 2 years later, I started reading Hindu texts. I actually worked with a Hindu girl. She converted back to the religion that I was, but her and I, we talked about it. And so I had no Hindu predispositions about anything. All I knew was, they worshipped gods with all these arms and that other stuff, because I thought about it. Great question. But thank you guys so much. I'm sorry to take all this time on the air, but I'm glad to be here, glad you're talking about this. I'm looking forward to see what else you guys have tonight.
Well, no, it's a pleasure talking to you all the time. You know that.
Yeah. Always. We always love your phone calls, Noah.
Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Have a great night. So again, it is interesting, and you know me, I'm the big debater. I'm always the slight skeptic until I truly experience it for myself. And I mentioned this last week when we were talking to Lou Mastriano about orbs. It's no matter the evidence that you have, it's all about the experience one experiences in order for that, I guess, true belief to happen within you. You can show me, and I could even present all the video and photos and whatever, but it's the experience that will convince you.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I can boldly state it that way. It's the experience that will ultimately be the proof, over anything else.
For everyone. I mean, no matter how much you read and no matter how much you listen to others, nothing will convince you but the actual experience. That is the ultimate proof that I think each one of us have. I think once we experience, you could read about spirits all day long, but until you actually experience that total sense of, yes, this is, doesn't happen until you experience it. Don't you think?
Right, and I was equating it last week when we were talking about this. I was equating it to, the listener is, I guess the listener has the burden of proof when the experiencer is communicating whatever it is that they had experienced. I don't think the experiencer needs to prove anything because they proved it to themselves already by being within that experience. You can, you can have someone talk to you till you're blue in your face about something. It's up to the individual who's listening to be able to have that open mind and to actually create the proof for themselves to believe it or not. And I think that's probably what bottom lines this whole topic tonight is. Whether or not you believe it is something that you have to experience for yourself. It may sound completely far-fetched to people, and, this whole witchy-poo type of thing that, some people get and that cringe that they get when you talk about these metaphysical types of phenomena about astral projecting and dimensions and all this other stuff that it just goes over everybody's head. But you have to truly experience it in order to be able to say truly that you believe it or not. And I think that's where I'm at now, and so that's why the debater is coming out in me.
Well, I understand what you're saying, and I think I'm there, but I think I'm a little bit leaning more towards the believing side. And the only reason why I say that is because when I first started paranormal investigating, I had read about spirits and all that, and a lot of what I didn't believe, I really didn't believe. Okay, let's take it even further. Let's go into mediumship. I did not believe that a lot of the things that I was absorbing and the things that were popping into my head, at first I did not believe that was another being or communication with the soul. But as I've learned, as I've gone forward, I do believe it now because I have my own personal proof that it is something or it is someone on the other side. Now, as far as astral projection goes, I read and I see the experiences and I've heard them, and I think I'm almost to the point of believing, but I've not yet experienced it. And I think it's going to take that experience to actually push me to the side where it's like I can definitively say, yes, this is something that happened. This is something that I know exists. Because right now, personally, I don't have that proof yet.
I think you truly have to have a sense of belief in the afterlife in order to comprehend what astral projecting is. Because in essence, it is your soul. It is your, the astral body that is, quote unquote, traveling. You have to have some sort of belief within the afterlife in order to believe astral projecting. I think that's the first hurdle that a lot of people need to get over first. Now, us being within the paranormal field and understanding and experiencing a lot of spirits and things of that nature, it's kind of got an internal debate in me with it because on one hand, I do believe in that, But the idea of astral projecting is foreign to me, and it's something that I have not been able to grasp yet. And maybe it is something that I need to experience on my own, and I could practice all I want. I could preach and say, like I've been saying, you got to get rid of the fear, but you know what? That's hard. It's very difficult to do those things, especially for a person I know like me. I like to control things. I'm a control freak.
I know.
I know you know that very well. And so. And that's because of the fear that I have. I have a tremendous amount of fear that if I'm not controlling things are not going to go well, or things are not going to be right, or somebody's going to get hurt, or whatever it may be. So it's my nature to have that fear, and so to get rid of it, that's going to be an accomplishment that I got to do. And it's something that I've truly tried to think about more and more as we go into as we are in 2013. As one of the things that I want to do for myself is try and let go of that, try and have that balance between letting go of some of that control and fear, but also being able to stay within the moment and be protected. And that's hard. And I've tried to, push that onto you, Luci, because, we always called you the sponge whenever we go out. And it is difficult. It is hard. And so maybe that's my first, before I even do anything with astral projecting, I think that's the one thing that I probably should be working on first, because you can't have fear when you are trying to do astral projecting. You can get to a certain point, but you're never going to be able to cross that line to be able to get into that if you still have that fear.
I think part of my fear with this is that where you're the controlling person, I'm the person that just goes with the flow. Whatever's around me, like you said, I absorb it. I fall into it. And this is another thing that I don't know anything about, and if I have done it, I'm not aware of it, and I have the tendency to just fall into it completely, to go with it. So my fear is more of, I need to be able to know that I can rein myself in. I need to be able to know that I can pull back when I have to, because I also know that when I go with something, I fall into it. I totally fall into it. And that's what I think makes a good balance between the two of us, because when we're out there, you're the voice of reason, and I'm the ADD kid running off and communicating with whoever and whatever.
I just noticed, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I just noticed in chat, Paul brought up a topic of, or a question of if he wonders if remote viewing is similar to astral projecting. And I actually wanted to bring that up tonight because from the little that I've learned about this topic and all of the facets that I've sort of bookmarked and gathered together, remote viewing is, from what I've learned, very different than astral projecting. Remote viewing, in a sense, and I'm going to try and see if I can explain this from memory, from what I've read, is that you can. It's a form of psychic ability that you're able to view other parts of the world, and it does not necessarily have to be the present. It could be past as well as future. But from what I understand, from what the little that I've read, is that the images are coming to you as far as what they are. It is not a matter. I don't think it involves anything with your spirit, your soul at all. And I could be completely wrong, but that's what I had learned. Do you know anything about remote viewing? Have you learned anything about it or read about it?
Well, what I read about remote viewing, this was something that our own government had experimented with, that at one point they felt that the Russians were doing it. So back during the Cold War, our government actually attempted to do this, and there was the movie Men Who Stare at Goats. And, it was a comedy, but it was based in fact. It was based on the fact that our government did attempt to try to do this in order for, to spy and stuff like that. And I do feel that it is that you're still in body, but I also feel that in order to remote view, a part of you has to be away. How is it that you can see in a different location without actually your consciousness leaving, with your consciousness remaining in the same spot? How is it that you can go to a different spot and actually still see what's around?
I think from what, again, I can be completely wrong, but from what I read, and I just read this recently this week, was that it can be equated to a psychic's abilities, that these images come to them and this is what they see. Now, could you then in the same aspect say that psychics, astrally travel when they are seeing things or hearing things or communicating with things? Are they astrally projecting? I don't know that answer. But would you say that is one and the same, or is it that they're just seeing these images, the images are coming to them from wherever, but they're not actually leaving anywhere, or they're not, their soul or their spirit is not actually going to another plane to be able to see that information? I
don't think it is the same. And I'm only going to equate it to as when I'm reading tarot cards. When I'm reading cards,
yeah, true. Yeah, what do you? I mean, tarot card reading is basically reading what's there, and it's connecting with that. Would you say you're
connecting
astral?
With that? I don't think so, because I am reading the cards, but I'm also connecting with the energy that the other person is putting up. I've always equated it to opening up someone else's head and being able to peek inside. And I don't think I'm physically going into that person's mind, but I think that my energy can connect with the other person's energy, and I'm able to get these, and I don't want to say they're not visions, they're just, it's almost like...
They're images, right?
Some are images, but some are just like very strong thoughts, as if I can feel what is there. It's like a situation will pop into my head, and I don't necessarily have to see it. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't, but I don't truly think that it is an astral projection. I don't feel that it is. I don't know if that makes sense.
I think it does. I don't know so much about this topic, and again, that was one of the reasons why we wanted to have somebody on tonight to try and explain it. Someone who has, pretty much done it many, many, many times, and who teaches it to others to, I guess, give some clarity to it. Maybe we'll do another show and hopefully get somebody else on that can clarify, because I know I'm not going to get the answer tonight, and I didn't expect it, but it has intrigued me to start to learn a little bit more, and it's not so much about astral projecting, it's more about myself, and I think that is what is the main purpose of astral projecting, is to find answers for yourself. I think that's the reason why a lot of people do go to the astral plane, is to get answers, get guided, get comforted, get the communication that is needed for whatever it is that you're seeking. Maybe that's what I should be doing first. Maybe that's what we should be looking forward to first, before ever getting into astral projecting. And I've also learned that you can do an overload of astral projecting. There are many people who do it continually, all the time, and I've heard that that's not a good thing to do as well. You should not be doing that and constantly leaving your body.
I think what it is, before one attempts to try it, I think you have to look within yourself as to the reasoning why you want to do it. I think if you go into it with true feelings of wanting to learn about yourself and awareness, and with a feeling of love, I think it can be a great experience. But I think also, too, that if you go into it with a negative view of it, or with intention to possibly harm someone or to do something, I don't think that is a good thing.
Well, no, I don't even think you'd be able to if you have that mentality. You won't be able to pass through. It's sort of like a prerequisite to getting to the astral plane. You can't have that baggage. You can't have that negativity. You can't have that fear, and fear is negative. It's something that is something that you cannot have within you in order to truly cross over into that area. And so, obviously, if you have those negative intentions, you're not going to be able to get over. And I don't know. I'm at a loss for words with this topic, because I've got so many questions on so many different levels that it's hard for me to put into words.
But I think that's the beauty of this whole show, and I think it's the beauty of this topic, because we start the dialogue, and I think part of the awareness that we can get for our own selves, for our own souls, is going to come from dialogue with others and talking to others about what they've experienced.
Well, originally tonight we were also going to do this collective astral projection guided tour seminar thingy. I had downloaded a recording of an astral projection guided tour that I wanted to play, but it is a little over 30 minutes long, and we've only got about 23 minutes left in the show, so obviously I can't play it, and I don't want to play part of it because it's not right to do that and to cut it off. So maybe we do it another time. We bring this topic up again, and hopefully we'll be able to do that. I mean, I thought it would be interesting to see if we all could collectively do this, and I've heard stories that collectively this has been done. And just to do a little bit of sort of pre-promotion, and you brought it up, I think it was last week or the week before, about some of the shows that we've got coming up. One of the shows is going to be on the Monroe Institute. And I'm not going to go into too much detail about that, but if you Google the Monroe Institute, it's a fascinating place. They were highlighted, and again, I forget the channel, Lucy. Was it the Bio channel?
I think, yes, it was. Yes, it was.
I can't remember.
It was on that show. Oh, my God. It was the Bio channel, and it was,
I know what you're thinking. I can't remember. But it was a fascinating show about the Monroe Institute, and one of the things that they did was collectively do this astral projecting, and it was a bunch of folks who were in separate rooms, and I think they were hooked up to some sort of mechanism to, I guess, measure the brain waves, so that they all knew, I guess the people who were studying them knew when they were within that lucid dream state or in that dream state. And I think they had music going and lighting and whatever it was. And then they would come back. They would try to astral project, all of them, and then they would come back and share their stories. And they've said in some instances that the folks that are in this group, I think a couple of them actually were together in the astral plane. They met up. And it was fascinating to me to hear these two experiencers talking about, the same environment, the same descriptions, the same type of communication that they had without having any knowledge of either one of them prior to going to this institute. And we're going to have the president of the Monroe Institute come on our show and talk specifically about that. So maybe that would be a good time to sort of bring up this topic again and discuss it, maybe even get answers from her on that. So this isn't ended tonight. This is definitely not ended at all. The Unexplained, Janet Barrowman just wrote it in there. Yes, on Biography Channel, The Unexplained. It was, if you can, I don't know if it's on YouTube or not, but if you can find the video on it and watch it, it was just an awesome show to watch, and it actually intrigued me to reach out to them to see if they can come on our show, because we were just fascinated with the concept of it and the stories that they came back with, and that's what got me thinking more about this topic, that it could be something that actually does happen.
I think it does. I just think that I need to experience it to have that final proof. And I think as we go along and as we have more dialogue about it, I think it's going to be just like the paranormal investigating. As I've learned more, I believe more. And I think this is no different. I think this is something that, like you said, I think everybody has done it. I don't think we're all aware of it. The same thing I say about psychic ability. I think we all have it. And I think part of this new awareness that's coming into being from 2013 on, I think this is part of our awakening. This is part of our awareness. And who knows, 1,000 years from now, we may be doing it constantly. It may be a form of travel. Who knows where this is going to lead? But the journey to get there just seems so exciting to me. I mean, it's so beautiful, and I can't wait. I want to learn more.
One of the books that I had come across to read, and I think this is the book of all books to read on out-of-body experiences and near-death experiences and astral projecting, is a book by, and I'm sure everybody knows this guy, Raymond Moody, and his book Life After Life. It's an amazing book because he clearly explains things. And again, I'm not going to give it all out to everybody. I think everybody should just go out and get that book by Raymond Moody, Life After Life. And I think it'll either intrigue you more to learn about this topic, or could possibly answer some of the questions that you may have. It all depends on what stage you are at within this belief of astral projecting. And we talked about, the proof in the studies that people have done, and scientists have done studies on, near-death experiences. And I think it was Paul that brought it up. Muldoon had done this, and they had done over 100 cases of out-of-body experiences or near-death experiences, and they truly did find that there is a double that could live consciously outside the physical body, and that could also survive the death of your body or after your body, and that's what lives on. I guess because of all the stories that they have studied and encountered while doing their research. And so I'm glad that that's going on, and I'm glad that more and more folks are talking about it. And hopefully that road will lead to, the idea that there is life after death, that there are spirits, and that there is that, communication that we have here in the physical realm with the spiritual world. So who knows? It all leads back to the paranormal field and the spirit world. And hopefully if we find answers in one way, that hopefully it'll lead to more answers in another direction.
It leads to self-awareness, and I think that's where we're at. I think this truly is the age of Aquarius, and I think that part of what's coming is this awareness, and I think that we're all, instead of looking at the way the world has been, I think we need to start looking at how the world can be. And I think in order to make a change, we have to change ourselves. And if that means that we have to become aware, and becoming aware leads to astral projection, then I think it's a wonderful thing.
And it's funny how we're doing this topic, the first show of 2013, when we are supposed to be entering into, the sort of enlightenment age, or the enlightenment world in 2013. How this whole, doomsday 1221 thing was sort of an end to one world and the beginning of another age or another world. And it's funny and fitting how this is our first show.
I think it's wonderful. Everything happens for a reason. I've
I
always
guess.
said that. I've always said that. And I truly, truly believe that I think we found something that just doesn't end with one show. I think this is something that we do have to keep exploring, and I think we do have to do another show. And I think when the Monroe Institute is on, I think that's just going to be another step in our enlightenment.
Mhm. I agree.
So I think it's great. I love it.
Was there anything that you wanted to add before we get on to the fan of the week?
No, I think we've covered as much as we can cover. And like you said, I didn't think we were going to get any answers. And I truly believe that this is something that is truly an endeavor. And I know people say that they can do it, but I think for most of us, I think it's something we have to learn. And if this just started part of the learning experience, then I think we've done what we needed to do tonight.
Our job is to get the discussion going. That's all it is, and that's all we try to do. We're not here to give the definitive answers on anything. There are some aspects of the paranormal world that, again, we truly believe in because we've experienced it, and so we will express that. But we're not here to jam any information or any of our theories down anyone's throats. We're here to just put it out there and allow people to retrieve what they want and to conceive what it is that they believe in from whatever is said during our discussions, and hopefully intrigue them to learn a little bit more about it and educate themselves or not. Maybe this is a one-time thing. Maybe people are just listening right now who've never heard about it and just wanted to know what it's all about, and that was it, and not go any further, which is great. And so I hope that we were able to do that, at least give you some sense of what astral projecting is or what the possibilities could be. And if that was the case, great. If it intrigued you to do anything further from this conversation and from this show, that's absolutely great as well. Not one is any better than the other. But at least we were able to get the questions out there, get the topic out there, get you guys in the mood to listen to it, and we had a great turnout tonight. So I really appreciate everybody who was listening in tonight to hear our banter and to hear our repetitive words constantly all the time. But I hope it helped someone or something. I know it did me. So I just am happy that we were able to do this show. So, Luci, why don't you get on to the fan of the week?
Okay. The Paranormal Review Radio fan of the week this week is in the chat room, Ramona Vega of Anaheim, California. Ramona plans fun vacations for the Disney group. She loves her two boys, which she is blessed to have. She says that she was born a sensitive and is an awakened indigo, helping with the new shift. And finally, she loves to listen to Paranormal Review Radio when she's not busy. Congratulations, Ramona.
Yeah, congrats, Ramona. We love you.
Okie dokie. Well, you know what? This has been such an amazing show. And I will admit it, I knew very, very little about this subject, and I still have many, many questions. I know you guys do. Will you be able to leave your physical body and go beyond? It was a very interesting experience, to say the least, to have this communication and discussion. Many say that 2013 is the beginning of awareness and enlightenment. So this could be the first of many lessons that we can take something from. It is all about opening our minds to what the universe sends us. So just what will 2013 bring us? We've been thinking about that, and I know you have too. So we thought, who better to let us know what we can expect in the coming year but our dear friend and the amazing psychic, Miss Robin Marie. Robin will be joining us next Friday night to give us her predictions for the new year. Now, if you remember, Robin was on the show back in September, and she demonstrated her amazing ability of photo scrying. Well, she has graciously agreed to share her predictions with our listeners. So make sure you're here to see what is coming up for us in 2013. we want to thank everyone for listening to us and for being the best fans on earth. Anthony, thank you so much for another fantastic show. The first one of the year is done. I can't wait for the next one. So, until next week, dear Parapeeps, welcome to 2013. Have a great and paranormal week. Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Paranormal Review Radio.